Okay guys, in this chapter we're going to take our existing normal map and we're going to derive a ambient occlusion map out of it. So let's get started with that. Alright, so here I am with my master texture file, and I'm just going to take my normal group right here. I'm going to just duplicate this whole group into a new document, and I'm just going to, in my new document with my untitled tab up there, so the untitled, new document with just my normals, I'm going to select my normal group and I'm going to hit Control and E and just flatten them all into one layer here. So let's go into Undo now, and let's use this normal map to make a ambient occlusion map. So I'm going to go to the Convert button down here, not the big one right here, but the little text convert down here. Alright, and I get to pick what kind of maps I want to make out of my normal. Make sure you have normal selected. You don't want cavity or height. You want to select normal right here. And we're just going to click on our ambient occlusion map right here. And we're going to make it into the active dock right here. Alright, so give Undo some time to do its magic. And I'll go through some of the settings that we're going to have with it. Perfect. Alright, so basically what it does is it takes our ambient occlusion, our normal maps, and makes just some basic ambient occlusion shadows. This is going to really reinforce this detail that we have created here. Okay, so what I like to do with my ambient occlusion, so I can go back and control it later, we see here now that we can control our fine shadows, our medium shadows, and larger shadows. Basically all that's doing inside of Photoshop is increasing and decreasing the opacity of these three folders right here. So what I like to do is, let's go over to my original master texture file. I'm going to hide my normal, hide my mask, and inside of my ambient occlusion layer, I'm going to select my base layer that I made earlier. And what we're going to do now is we're just going to click on Fine Shadow Group, the Medium Shadow Group, and the Large Shadow Group, and we're going to duplicate these layers in my original Wall 001 texture, Chapter 5. Alright, so if we go back over here now, we see we have all three groups working here. Alright, and then I just like to hit Control and E on each one to just collapse them into their own layer. Alright, I don't want all those other layers underneath those groups. We're just going to be fine with just collapsing them and making them their own layer. Okay, and then we can go in and use our opacity slider here to strengthen or weaken the desired effects of these shadows here. So, tweak it to your heart's content. I like to strengthen large shadows just to add a little bit of depth to these big recesses here. Alright, and this is going to be our first step to creating our diffuse map. Okay, let me increase my medium shadows just by a little bit. And fine shadows, I'll put these around 36%. Alright, great. So that's basically does it for our ambient occlusion. Let's see the fruits of our labor here. So I'm going to do my mask save, Control Shift F2. Alright, and let's go into Marmoset and see what happens. Ooh, instant feedback, right? Look how much our normal maps are popping now. And you may not like how black and dark the scorched metal gets, but I think it really sets off our normals and whatnot. And we can even see them working a little bit better if we go to our view and add a sky turntable here. And now the sky is animating on top of our model, and we can see our normal maps playing off of one another. Alright, so we got our ambient occlusion in. Our next step is actually give this thing some color. And with our masks we've already created, it's going to be a piece of cake just to go in and create a base color, and then go in and find some grunge maps, dirty it up, and we'll have a nice little diffuse texture that will be reinforced by our normal maps and our ambient occlusion layer we just made.